succeeding in life can happen in a lot of different ways. If someone's not fitting that one particular way you see the world, if they're not fitting into that mold that you've constructed of what success looks like, it becomes very small-minded. And it's not the case. We're very quick to assume someone's on the beaten, broken path if they're doing something completely obscure and foreign to our eyes. But people have lived vastly different lives than one another. So whatever activities or passions that you're involved with that mean the world to you and they make your life better, someone next door, just the same as someone across the world, they could have been brought up doing completely different things like that than you. So their version of what it takes to be successful can look a lot different than yours. And that can be very frustrating, especially as a young man, because you're very enthusiastic and well-read. You're kept up on everything. There seems to be this one clear vision in your mind of what needs to happen, how you need to look like, and what you need to do to allow you to be that successful version you see of yourself. However, other people, they're generating the same thought with the same things in mind. It's just that the end product, the vision of what they see as the success point for themselves, it can be very different than you. It helps to broaden your horizon when it comes to things like this. Open your mind a bit. When you see someone out there and they're engaging in some kind of sport or something like that, or maybe a business venture, and it's foreign to you and it seems odd, honestly think, are there other people out there that thoroughly enjoy this kind of stuff? Do they really? Have you really thought about it? Have you looked into it? Is this something that other people enjoy? Is this something that this person reasonably, if you live their life, would be something you'd be into as well? Usually, yeah, that's how it works out. It's, we just get so bogged down by our own bullshit. We don't want to acknowledge that kind of stuff. We just kind of want to go through our life and kind of compartmentalize everything. It's like everything has its own little room, and only you have the key. And sometimes you end up locking doors because you don't like the process of whatever happens once a door is open. So it's a lot more simple to just keep the door locked. And the bad part is you become familiar with how easy it is to do that. So us being human beings and wanting the path of least resistance, we become a lot more accustomed to forming habits around making choices like that. And nobody's super closed off, necessarily started that way, but through a series of actions, they've become that over time. They've refined themselves into that over a long period of time. So that's how you could end up with people out there that, it's bad to assume that people are uneducated. I mean, if someone has, very poorly educated opinions, it's very clear they don't know a ton about the source material they're vehemently arguing about. That could be very clear, in which case, people can definitely be idiots in that regard. But it's not a good practice to assume that people are all lacking on the IQ scale. They're all, you may see somebody and the way they're interfacing with the world or they're engaging with you, it might seem odd because you don't have any commonality. So it could be quick to pass someone off as uneducated. But if you simply engage someone in a topic they know a lot about and they have tender care for, I think you're going to find that people are a lot less naive than you think. And I mean, that's certainly been the case in my experience, but I cannot lie. I come across many people on a daily basis that they don't know their head from a hole in the ground. They don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. Like, they have no clue what's going on. They're just kind of living their life. And that's all right. I mean, as long as they're not harming anyone or, causing negative experiences for those around them, go be that person. I mean, who cares? Really, it's like you're the one living your life. So, I mean, like with the success thing, like, people, they're gonna, their lifestyle is going to be a lot different than what you would make out for yourself, and that's all right. People want different outcomes out of life. There's a lot of people out there which, this used to seem very foreign to me as a younger guy, and I know it's very foreign to a lot of people out there. Is like, there's people that they just want to get by. They're not trying to be Michael Jordan. They're not trying to do anything crazy, successful, or put themselves out there with this amazing achievement. Like, they honestly, they generate their happiness from getting by and having their basic needs met. And you, like, who are you or I to judge them for that, when often the people with the big dreams out there are very unsettled at the end of the night and definitely have a lot more depression over time. When you try to be a high achieving person, you start wrapping your performance into your self-esteem, and you can't always perform well. You can perform well maybe a majority of the time, but you're going to have bad performances, and that's going to negatively impact you. So when you're keeping that in mind, hopefully it helps kind of shift the mental outlook you or I might have. Because, I'm saying all this, but yes, there are times where I could have a bad day and things could slip out. Like patterns of thinking that were previously unhealthy, those can slip out if you get fatigued enough or stressed enough. It's kind of like the past is, pulling its hands out of the grave to try and pull you back in. But no, like, you feel alive again. You don't want to be back by the dead. So at least I think a simple shift in outlook, it does wonders for people. I mean, if you ran into me like even 3 years ago, I had very fiery outlooks on everything I was discussing. I wanted to be very confrontational and very polarizing, because I've been doing fitness for a very long time. So yeah, making wild claims and just being real rambunctious, that was very suited to my personality, just being a very abrasive individual. But things start bothering you more than they should, and I think some of us recognize that as time goes on. Like, you're not going to live every action of your life feeling like you did the right thing or you said the right thing. There's going to be times where, honestly, it really feels like you're fucking up. But you work through that stuff, and you got to be self-aware enough and just reflect enough upon, what's going on day to day, to not repeat patterns of behavior that leave you feeling shitty. Most of us, we don't want other people to feel bad. I certainly don't. I used to get a lot of anxiety about it. I would say all these abrasive things and be real worked up. So my voice sounds, very convincing, and I'm talking very fast, and I'm making these rapid points. Like, this stuff starts bothering you more than it should, and you just kind of realize you're expending more energy than you thought you were on shit that doesn't matter. While it's fun to do that, and maybe time to time I might dabble with being a bit abrasive online, my approach to it is definitely changed for the better. I'm not even a viral person, but I feel like I have the right mindset with it, which is, whether the criticism's good or bad, I honestly can't accept either. because it's going to wreak havoc on my ego. If you keep hearing that you're great all the fucking time, you stop growing because you don't see the fault in your ways. If everyone's telling you you're the shit, why on earth would you think that you're not? You wouldn't think you need to improve at the grueling rates that, require very painstaking work. Everyone's saying you're the shit, so might as well keep it up. So people, they fall into that and they stop growing as much. You got other people out there that they're just internalizing all the negativity being thrown their way. And they become more confrontational, more reactive to everything out there. And it's equally bad because they either go into a big state of denial or you feel terrible about yourself. So, both of those things, I mean, obviously, maybe a normal person want to feel like the shit more than feeling terrible, but neither one is good for you. It's simple. Like I don't even recommend reading that stuff, to be honest. I don't think it should have any influence on you. I think you gotta try and remain neutral. That way, if there's a bad performance and you have a couple close friends, or even if you don't, like you're just aware that there's room for improvement. But you're also not so cocky that you think everything you do is great. So it kind of keeps you on your toes enough to make some pretty drastic changes over time, as long as you keep putting in the effort that growth requires. A lot of people want to grow, but the effort it requires to grow is a big pain in the ass. Nobody wants it to be that hard, and a lot of times it feels like it shouldn't. Like, what do you mean I have to push my body to the point of wanting to throw up weekly for well over a year just to see minor changes? You're not going to convince people to want to do that. But once those people see a little bit of that change happen, when they see it for themselves, they get a bit addicted to that feeling. So it's kind of just goes to show that firsthand experience really triumphs overall. If someone can be as well read as possible, they're citing all the right material, they're even using big words, or they memorize the names of studies or the scientists that conduct them, and they're just doing a lot. They want to feel very credible, but they haven't actually lived enough of that knowledge to apply it well. So at the end of the day, that person's not actually as smart as they may feel, because they kind of want to bypass the practical knowledge aspect with just being well read. And a combination of both is important, I think. So a lot of these things lead to people kind of living their lives feeling inadequacy. And that's usually these types of people are very quick to the whip when it comes to being salty or backlashing at others, because they feel justified knowing all that. But honestly, like a lot of these science dudes, bodybuilding wise, they have shitty physiques, and they're telling you to do all the stuff that the literature suggests, which it's not all bad. It's just that the science-based guys are kind of notoriously trying to bypass the effort put in to making drastic changes with applying a shit ton of knowledge. But they're not really applying the knowledge very well because they don't have the experience. It all loops together. Basically, I think people are uninformed and misinterpreting. People are kind of navigating their lives being very uninformed about the things that they're doing, whether they're promoting them to others. They could just be uninformed, and you run into that, and then you just have a lot of people out there that they mean well, but they honestly just have not gathered the practical knowledge to actually put what they know into use. That's usually what it is. until you go through the pains of pushing yourself 10 out of 10 hard every day. Like you're not going to develop the knowledge to know when to apply everything, or how to gauge your body and what needs to be done and how to adjust stuff. You're not going to make good decisions in that regard if you don't have the experience of pushing yourself. So I think, yeah, everything just comes full circle. I know this is kind of just a big rambling, but I find it useful to kind of talk these things out, because there could be someone who maybe they had some kind of like bad situation happen over the past, I don't know, whatever's recently, past few weeks. And maybe just talking it out a little bit, or at least sharing my perspective, which I think is a pretty balanced one. That could make someone realize maybe they're being a jackass, and maybe they want to make amends or just avoid certain behaviors in the future. That's why I think it's important, because we get so, like, we're just kind of, you know, we're constantly walking in our own shoes. So you can slip up and forget about the struggles of others, or kind of mess up your gauge a little bit on the appropriate response to have in every situation, because you're consistently just building up that stress. So I mean, and it makes it harder to want to take the step back, because you feel so justified when you're that worked up. So it's a good skill to be able to step back and kind of objectively review your behavior, and then you make adjustments as time goes on, or at least you try to. Some people don't, but you do that, and you feel like you end up getting to know yourself a little bit better and start making more logical choices day to day in your interactions. It's always the case with me. I mean, you can't, however, and like, if you want to call it enlightenment, sure, but however enlightened your viewpoint may be, you know, there are going to be people out there that are like really unreasonable and still want to get confrontational with you, and that choice is up to you if you want to engage with that stuff. But even if you get in a fight, and even if you beat them up, it's not going to make you feel better. You're still going to be pretty upset about the confrontation in the first place. So that's just why it's true to, the best thing to do is to just avoid a confrontation. It's the best way to end one. It'll make you a lot happier when you realize avoiding the confrontation is the thing keeping your peace. But that's for sure a maturity thing. Not that I'm fully mature, but I've had enough experiences where, yeah, the maturity just kind of poured out of me over time. I don't really care about my ego, because, you know, your ego will get you killed for sure. The ego will tell you got to do all kinds of things to prove your place. But all those options usually have a poor outcome for you. So why engage in them? It doesn't. If someone thinks you're lesser than them, or, you know, you're a fucking piece of shit, all this stuff, what are you going to do? Beat them up? Do you think that's going to change their mind? No. And does it bother you that someone doesn't like you very much? Well, at the time it bothered all of us, but honestly, they're clearly not going to change their opinion about you, no matter what you say or do. They've already formed that opinion out of whatever information they've gathered, and they've just decided they're not going to like you. So nothing you do is going to change that. And now you're wasting time getting upset and wanting to change something that honestly does not fucking matter. A lot of the times these people, you know, displaying all this disrespectful behavior, which I understand maintaining respect is important, but, you know, the people displaying all this disrespectful behavior, it's very clear they're not going to stop doing it. So why do you think you're going to change their mind by getting confrontational with them? literally never works. So anyway, this is just a good idea to keep your peace the best way you see fit, and try and get fit. Try and get jacked. Have a good time. Eat your meals, drink your water, get your sleep. Almost forgot that one. And I guess I'll see you on the next one.